what I can imagine to be either the blue or the orange team.
Well, people must still be drunk from last year to get those predictions in. Must be. I don't know. I think after what we've seen from Outsiders, they don't look as if they have any oomph. There's nothing that really I look at and think, wow, they're going to do really good at Invite, which I think you have to look at, the 4 teams we have, Ollie. Realistically, how are these guys going to do at Invite against some of the teams that we have in there already? I would say if Outsiders go with the way they played Chalet, they'll get chewed up.
I would agree. I would largely agree. SI, the best. We are expecting top level gameplay at a Six Invitational.
I would say that Outsiders 100% a LAN team. That's without a shadow of a doubt. I think we all know that. If they do go to Invite, that's better on LAN than what they do online, right? You just know. You know for a fact that's the way it is with these guys, right? Because they've done it so many times before. I look at Clubhouse and I think this is probably the best map that they can get. Reason why?
It's the best map, yeah.
Reason why? I've got 3 reasons. 1, meta hasn't changed in the past year in Clubhouse. Still the same old stuff, right? Which suits this team down to a T. 2, no rushes from Mkers that you can really go for in Clubhouse. Even Mkers are going to be restricted in what they can do. And also 3, it's always been a good map for Outsiders. Like last year at SI, it was a map that they always were playing. It was a map that I think they played in the final. They lost in the final. I think they lost 8-6 in the final on Clubhouse, but still, it's a map that they're always going to go for. It is their preference.
I think it's a great map, and I think it's a good opportunity now for Outsiders to get themselves back into this thing. They've had a little bit of a break. They've had a bit of a reset. Let's not just have a day of 2-0s. Let's have a little bit of something special coming through in this second map. And let's see Outsiders, really take a little bit of advantage here. The opportunity is there. We will have to see if they take it. At least for now, they're going to be starting things off on the defense, which, as we say with Clubhouse these days, does it matter whether you start on the attack or the defense? Probably not, but at least gives them a bit of a foundation to work from. Defense was certainly where they did better over on Chalet, if you could really call it that. A lot of those attacking rounds toward the end were a little bit clutch. So we'll see what we are working with. The bans, Thatcher, Mirror, Sledge ban.
Strange to see the Sledge ban, I think, because their joystick has been very frequent on the Buck anyway, hasn't he? All he did was play Buck and Chalet, so that's a bit of a... But
the Sledge ban is odd. The Azami ban's a bit of a no-brainer. Really changes things up quite substantially. Obviously, we'll have to see the full effect of the Sledge ban when we get around to Outsiders on the attack. So far, a couple of early engagements here. We've got a Lion Scan coming through. Dan seeing a lot of pressure here inside of Bar, and he's going to be taken out by Sorry, doing the dirty work on the Ace. Don't often see the Ace on that initial approach.
Risky entry from the Ace, on a Clubhouse basement. Like, could have went wrong there. Oh, the Dokkaebi calls.
Upstairs as well.
Brilliant. He can hear that from bathroom as well. He can hear the phone calls go off, so they know there's still going to be roamers, and this might just give Aquay the go-ahead just to go for it, mate.
Well, he's certainly going to take advantage of always. Joystick forced now to drop the hatch, but you get the feeling that he's dropping into the Viper's nest. The site is incredibly light. Mkers, they know this. Gemini going to push his way down. Pasha maybe looking for an angle in onto the bathroom player. He's going to pre-fire, but isn't going to be good enough. 3 kills. Sorry, he's not moved his feet, Demo. Just goes to show the power there of the AK-12 and what it can do in the right hands. Shepard next to fall. Mkers. Flawless round for round number 1. Polar opposite.
This time they got all the kills.
Polar opposites the way that they played round number 1 of Chalet.
Wow. I mean, what do you say? Just honestly, the Dokkaebi, you have to look at that operator, Ollie, and just think, wow, what a strong pickup. That, again, I think is an operator that certainly warrants bans, I think, these days. I think a Dokkaebi ban is certainly something that you could say, yeah, you can understand why they went for that. Great operator, obviously we know the Universal, you can hear all of the, the phones going off. Not only that, so you have free speed now, which happened not the last patch, but the patch before that, which helps her a lot as well. Impact DMP grenades, can do a lot of different things in that regard. And also, I think one thing you have to think about with Dokkaebi, what operators actually dropped off quite a bit, Ollie? Mute.
Yeah.
Don't see as much as him these days.
No, well, we talk about how the game has changed, and we talk about things that have moved on over even the last couple of months, the last 6 months, last 3 months, and obviously a lot of the speed changes that have come through to operators, and Mute being one of the ones that was hit pretty hard. So you would expect it to drop off. Siege is, it is a tactical shooter, but first and foremost, if you get 5 kills on your team, you win the round. And one of the things that is...
Well, not always, Ollie. Not always.
Well, yes, that is actually so true. I'm never going to
Can't use that anymore. Can't use that anymore.
Can't use that again. Can't use that again. More often than not, you're going to win the round. And one of the more important things is speed of movement. And with speed also comes sound. Slower, louder, faster. Not necessarily quieter, but a little bit quieter. So there are all sorts of things that really play into that. And one of those being, slow operators don't get picked so much.
Should be a good game. Hopefully we'll get back in.
Makes it even weirder when you think about the sledge ban.
Should be back in as quick as we can. And yeah, the sledge ban, like you mentioned. It's just another operator, I think, which has always been the staple, move now into the 1 speed. I'm just speaking from personal preference. I know for a fact I haven't played as much Sledge because I don't like being slow.
No, I don't think anybody likes being slow.
They want
to be able to move quickly.
Yeah. It's all about speed. That's why Gridlock was never really it for me personally. I know we've seen Gridlock plenty of times, but it was never really, Nomad. It's just 10 times better, isn't it?
I feel like you've got to be in the right mood to play somebody that's slow.
Yeah.
You've got to be in that headspace where you're not rushing, you're not wanting to do anything too quickly. You just know what you're going to do. You're going to plod along, because gridders can be really fun if you're playing in that sort of mindset. But if you ever get yourself into a position where you need to get somewhere quickly, that's when, for me at least, it does just get frustrating. And that's what separates good players, is players that have that ability to not get frustrated if they do need to do something quickly and they are on a slow operator. But being banned here is a little bit of a surprise. As you mentioned earlier, Joystick was playing a lot of Book over on Chalet, and I imagine that's going to translate through here as well. But we've got to talk about Mkers demo. Like, are they going to slow down at any point today? Because they've just flown through, picked up a flawless, and we can see them, they're all very chilled out. No one really, Dora's having a good little laugh about something. Looks as though Aqua's getting involved with the chuckling as well, as we can see him on Dora's POV just slightly. Well, what's the story with these guys? Are they just so laid back that everything's coming easy to them?
I mean, they're Italians, aren't they? I think they're very chilled back people, just Italians, aren't they? I think Italians in the current scene with EU, I think it's their own community. I think they're very shut off, essentially, to quite a lot of teams. It's probably the reason why we've only just had our first Italian inside of professional play, and that's been Teb. I think the Italians as a whole, they like to stick to their Italian nature. PG Nationals, that's where they're at. And I think for a team like Mkers, I think they have some really good quality players. Definitely, top tier EUL level players. But I think they just like to stick to their guns. And obviously, invite time has been a big thing for them. SI21 is where they made their names for themselves. We always do about Mkers, because I think then you go back to like Sloppy, for example. We seen him over at NAL, and he got his start from Mkers and stuff like that. And I think this team's always kind of been known. And then, SI21 was just a breakthrough for a lot of these young guys.
It was a big opportunity for them. We are just remaking the lobby. We'll be back in just 2 seconds, I'm sure. I can see that the final checks are just being performed now. We do have all of the players in, so we will be getting underway very shortly. Thank you so much for bearing with us during that. You haven't missed much of Clubhouse. You missed one round, and it was a flawless for Mkers. When we get back on in, we'll have to see, have things changed, Demo? Are we going to see a little bit of a mix-up here for Outsiders? They went for a very extended roam, and I think they spread themselves a little bit too thinly for the way that Mkers chose to approach.
Hopefully Outsiders can get into gear, because I do worry for them, Ollie. I worry if the heads drop. Hey, they could go out today as well. It could happen. I mean, Maker's Secret seems like a good game because I think both teams have just been on it today. They've been right there, ready to go. No questions asked. They're here to win. Obviously, Navi, I think, just too slow today to really get anything going. It was a little bit, you know, yes, they had a good round, then they'd lose a couple of rounds, then they'd get a round back, and then they'd lose. They never really got a rhythm, where I think Secret were able to ramp up a good number of rounds. Obviously, Makers, we've seen them. They've been able to do that in Chalet last game, and who knows, they could do it here in Clubhouse.
We do often talk about that rhythm and that momentum and certainly that flow that goes into the sort of game day, or especially a game day that's got multiple games in for a team, or a game weekend like we find ourselves in right now. Makers have certainly been the one that has been holding pace so far, at least in this matchup. But still very early days. It is Clubhouse. Anybody is capable of playing and winning on a club, so we will have to see. We've got a bit of Valkyrie action going on here. A bit more information required, it seems, from outsiders. Maybe not wanting to get caught out so early. They're still opting for a slight extension here, but the site is going to be a little bit different. They're not going downstairs into the basement anymore. Instead, they're going to be opting for the old gym and bedroom. Well, this is always a strange take for me, Demo, because it's so prescribed in what you should do now.
And I just think where's the so you don't know where they kind of like move around the unit, and they're always looking, okay, if we do this, does everything back around? There. Getting the wall open. Sometimes it's can be tricky. I mean, we've seen it from Navi earlier. They've struggled with getting a Kite Claw off a wall. There's Makers doing it. No questions asked, Ollie. And I just look at them, and you can see, look, sorry now, getting ready to go with Logi Drop. Diffuser carry being rotated now as well. They're up to something. They can see a weakness.
You know, as soon as the Candelas start to go through, that you need to really keep your eyes peeled for what's going to happen. A smoke is going to follow it up. We can hear the Logic Bomb phone call coming in.
They have a warden.
Well, nobody really pushing it off the back of this. Always is going to see a bit of a brunt here and gets caught looking the wrong way. He had 3 angles to check and can't check them all. Joystick, he's going to find one on the warden. The smoke is going to come through and immediately be shot out there by Shepard, although it shouldn't matter too much. Still going to go off. Acqui going to hit up one. Shepard, nice shot there just through the edge of the smoke. Keeping things nice and level here. 40 seconds each, and there's still some really important players alive here. Most notably is going to be Pasha.
Yeah.
He holds a secret C4,
he can go below,
which really could be a good undoing here.
Good play.
Good play. Rope and get himself down. Don't forget, we've seen them bring more information. We know that they have that info to be calling from, and that's going to be a pre-placed. He now needs to keep himself alive. This is the most important part. Keeping himself alive and an accurate detonation on that C4 if and when required. A couple of players here stacked up inside a bathroom. Pasha has to keep himself out of an initial firefight here. The C4, it's been bet in the wrong spot, as Dora is going to start getting that plant down under the cover of his teammates. However, he will be taken out, and the players remaining cannot find the remaining kills. Pasha did his job and more there. The C4 might not have come through, but he got the all-important pick and kept himself alive. Yeah,
just look at the information game. The Valkyrie cameras all staying up. I was worried there for a minute for Pasha because he's pre-placed the C4, but the fuser ain't going through that door, which is the worry. They're not planting on that door. They're going instead for Jim. It could have turned worse there, Ollie. It could have went bad for them, but gets the kill with the MPX, I guess. So this worked, done the job. So Outsiders round back for themselves. Makers, you can see Ollie again. They're everywhere, aren't they? They're like rats. You just everywhere you see them.
Here, there, and everywhere at the minute.
Like they were over at main wall, rotate then over towards cash, then they have Logi, like just everything.
It's a bit like what you said in the previous round. They move as a unit.
They do.
You know, they move as like one solid mass. but they have got that ability to play separately as well, and that's something that we always talk about as being really important.
Yeah, they play separate on the rushes, don't they? Because whenever they rush, they hit from every angle, and usually they're by themselves, which is it's kind of go big or go home. Because if one guy falls, there's nobody there for the refrag, which is the only issue with Mkers. But I mean, you can set for most teams to rush.
Strange site choice. We are going to see Cash and CCTV. Site that has really fallen out of favour over on Clubhouse. Especially if a Zami is banned.
Yeah, I hate it.
Garage a lot more difficult.
I hate it.
Sometimes we see teams play double French here. We'll see him play a Rook, and we'll see him play a Dock, or a combination of either or.
I think G2 did that a couple of times this last split, didn't they?
Yeah, it just assists you a little bit in playing onto that balcony. However, with Thatcher being banned, it does make things somewhat tricky to try and get this wall open.
Oh.
It will require just a little bit of thought here from Mkers to get the job done.
We've got 2 pocket EMPs. Also, one thing that I'm looking at, Ollie, look who has the diffuser and look where he is. Like, I wonder if maybe they're just going to try and walk in and plant, like, immediately. Generally, you would see the Monty start to work on getting maybe garage control. It is typically where you'd like to see your Monty pushing in from, and he will drop. And now is he going to rotate in towards garage? I think he is. Strange to see the Monty with the diffuser. Generally, you want somebody else, because then if Monty goes to the plant, then you don't really have that shield, I guess, to give some information. You can block that doorway. You think about Cash, Ollie, you can just block the doorway. You can block the doorway on top red. That's a good execute, using the Capitao, using the Maestro Mira. What am I saying? Monty. Get my M's mixed up. And yeah, pretty standard for Mkers. This is the thing about Cash, Ollie. It's just too easy. It's too easy.
It is a straightforward side to execute onto. It's not always straightforward in practice. The sort of theory behind it is very easy, but we all know how that tends to go. Mkers have managed to do it, though. They've got the Monty in, which is very important at this point. They can now take control of garage, and they're going to be looking to try and attack from deep. We do still have a couple of Toxic Babe canisters left, and there is a heavy stack up of players for outsiders inside of Cash. Pasha, playing at the top of those Cash stairs, will have a part to play
no
in
C4s
this round yet. No C4s is going to hurt them quite substantially. Dan, maybe below, does have an impact, so maybe could open up a line of sight, or even just rejoin his team. Looks to challenge potentially in onto garage. Nade will be sent in, but it's sent a little bit short. Dan still on this flank. Lolo could be covering here a little bit for him, as we do see the shots coming through, and Shepard successful taking out Lolo.
Yeah.
The Toxic Babe canister, sorry, shifting Dora out of position. Now the diffuser's going to be cold on the ground. Mkers need to try and retake into this. Aqui, he's going to pick up the diffuser, but look at the kills as they start to fly through. Outsiders more than happy to sit, more than happy to wait. 6 seconds left on the clock. Aqui, you've got the kit, you've got to try and get it down. You know what is going to be coming around that corner. You can already see the red pings, the shotgun pump. Give it to, and Pasha, he's going to find the last.
Ooh, a bit of a kerfuffle there, Ollie. Smoke being the game changer. Also, I would add that I think even just down below done enough to, I think, put them off their stride. He's just a lesion, but he's done enough there with just the impact.
One impact.
Yep.
That's all he needed. One impact and being in the right place at the right time, and that was enough to really throw a cat among the pigeons. You couple in that whenever you take him from garage, you know that you're going to be attacking deep. You know that you're going to have to be baiting out utility, baiting out smoke, C4s, whatever it is that they might have to throw. There weren't even any C4s. There was two Toxic Babe canisters.
There's one thing that's the question with
40
Mkers.
seconds you need to bait.
Why was there no, like, cam inside a bar? Why was there no drone there for someone to sit on and see for a flank? Because I feel as if that would be something that teams would have, is a bar flank.
Yeah, especially when you go in, like, Danny's always going to roam.
Yeah, that's what.
Like, when do we ever see?
If anyone's roaming, it's Dan. You know, we've been questionable. You know, maybe of Chalet, the outsider was just sitting on site. Like, more of them were sitting on site than maybe, you know, there should be a little bit more roaming action. Again, we talk about dynamics. Remember you're saying about, you know, Shepard and joystick, different, you know, equilibriums of the spectrum. Look at Dan and Shepard.
Yeah.
Like, one will never roam, one will always roam. Have you ever seen Shepard go for a flight? Because I don't think I've ever seen it.
I'm not sure if he's left the site.
I don't think he's ever actually went out and explored the world. I think he's been stuck in his bedroom for all these years.
But he doesn't need to know what the far reaches of Clubhouse look like.
No, because what he has is Joystick and Dan, who are essentially, they're the ones who go and deliver the groceries to him, make sure he's all right. That's the way this team works.
Well, they're the explorers. They come back and tell him all the tales. Like, oh,
they bring in the paper. It lets them know what's happening.
We are forgetting that he does attack and that he goes all over the guy.
Hey, mate, me and you waffle something shocking, don't we? Mate, we do, thinking about it.
Round number 4 is certainly going a lot slower than Chalet was.
It's been a while since we've been down here.
Feels quite back and forth. Downstairs to the basement. This is where we saw round number 1 play out in fantastical fashion for Mkers. Not so great for Outsiders. Again, losing that opening pick here. Sorry. He had a decent time in the old bathroom doors.
Yep.
3 kills he found himself. Unprecedented success from such a location.
They've got that Dokkaebi again, which we know is going to be a staple, but look at the defense. We've got a mute now coming in, Ollie. That's going to assist them. Obviously, if you stand in the radius of a mute jammer, you don't get the phone call. And that's surely going to help them. Oh, C4 perhaps from Shepard onto the main stairs, looking for somebody. No, nothing at the moment. He sees the pre-place. Okay, so they know the C4 is there. And, mate, they're out of there. What? Only he could have got a double kill there. You see that?
Dangerous stuff, indeed.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to get these breaching charges used, and Outsiders have largely retreated back to the site.
Attackers have located a bomb.
No nades left remaining. Shepard just getting an early warning system there from one of those goo mines. Bit of a stack up here onto that church wall, as that is going to be the next focus here. Of course, there is potential for a bit of an impact there, and he's gone for a slightly strange way of opening it. Always finds a bit of success onto Dora. That long angle, often called Ash Rush spot, has been utilised, but he will be taken out as he ventures a little bit further than he ought to. Joystick, he's picked himself up too. And Sorry and Gemini have a lot of work here in the 2 versus 2. Might be an equal man count, but time is not equal at all. 4 seconds left on the clock. Sorry, going to start getting it down. Pasha comes round with the swing, and that is going to be enough to send it. Outsiders successful attacking downstairs in the basement. Everything really coming down to the wire over these last couple of rounds, Demo. Time has been the big factor here for Outsiders. They are doing a great job at wasting a lot of that clock.
Yeah, Mkers just... That first kills, not the first kill in the round, but that first kill where we seen the Thermite drop, that's annoyed me. Like, that's really annoyed me. How's that been, like... Yeah, I don't know. It just annoys me.
Is that worthy of a stack disband?
It's just you look at how they set up. They're going pretty standard. They're opening triple wall. One thing I have to say about Mkers, not a lot of blue pressure. All of it coming from one side. I think if you're going for the triple wall, you need to hit blue as well. I think for kitchen dirt, you can probably get away without attacking blue because it's very like drop the hatch and hope there's no C4s kind of situation with that. But I think for triple wall, you cannot attack from like one direction. You need to have other ways of kind of moving the defenders around and making sure they can't sit anywhere that's a good anchor position to hold from. You need to make sure that you can really root them out of those positions. So it's probably the only thing Mkers are missing was just that blue pressure. And I would say that probably comes down to just not having enough time. They're not quick enough on getting in and getting the job done.
I think it also speaks to, the way that they were attacking there. Like you say, they weren't quick enough. They didn't have the same focus in the early part of the round, and they weren't able to see that success that they saw in the early part of the round in round 1 because there was no roam game really from Outsiders. We had Dan knocking about. He was taken out pretty early, but after that, the call was back to site. Let's just lock this down. Let's really force them. And they still spent a lot of the round moving and operating inside of that second floor, trying to make something happen, when it would have been much better spent setting themselves up a little bit better, dirt tunnel, kitchen, get some presence knocking about. I always think that the triple wall push is a really hard one to pull off anyway, you need a lot of different things working in conjunction to really make that one work. Like you say, pressure inside of blue, whether it's pressure inside of Moto coming through as well, whatever it might be, it's never usually enough to just last-ditch attempt to push it.
Bomb located by attackers.
So Mkers, once again, Ollie, they're everywhere, making sure everything's going to be opened up. Put the IQ in. That's 100% Ollie we know for the vault camps, because that was an issue that we struggled with last time. We've seen the red pings come in as they were trying to plant inside a gym. So it's a good adaptation, you know, a simple one, but it shows that Mkers, they're trying to learn from their mistakes. And I think dealing with the Valkyrie cameras, it's also going to give you a bit more time, because sometimes, you know, if you're down to like 5 seconds, you can't get off the plant and try and shoot a Valkyrie camera, because, you know, you're getting pinged. If you get the job done early, get the Valkyrie cameras out of the way with, then yeah, I'll give you a better success rate in the late game. Slip up there on the main breach, Ollie.
Didn't go off perfectly, did it?
No. So now they're kind of limited to pretty much an east side. Outsiders should be clocking onto that immediately and knowing, okay, we have like full coverage now. We can like rotate in and out of bathroom safely. We can utilize, you know, flag corridor, for example. We don't have to worry about getting shot in the back via breach. It just gives them a lot more rotation possibility to kind of, oh, maybe you're not expecting this guy to rotate there because generally that wall's open. You know, the kind of rule of thought that you go through as a team.
Ready to engage.
Aqua going to be able to pick off always in a very similar spot to we did previously, the same time that we saw this site last defended. Pasha, at the minute mark this time, is going to think about a rotation, but thinks better of it for the time being. There's a couple of really nice cameras here that are still up, and it's kind of surprising to see because we do have Aqua over that side of the map, and he hasn't really used the scanner too much. There's a lot of information here that they need to know outsiders have. They know they have the Valkyrie. You've brought the IQ for a reason. You've got to be aware of where that intel is and where those points of vulnerability are. However, Pasha is just going to do it the old-fashioned way and take Aqua out.
A man prone and Logi.
Gunfight. That isn't ideal at all. The info's still up. Kills continuing to come on through here. 2 versus 2 as Shepard. He shuts Sorry down. 12 seconds left. Their info, you can see the red pings. It's still there here for outsiders. They're still doing a great job of gathering this information. Pasha, he's on for 3. He's down to the Deagle. Can he get 4? Yes, he can. Huge round from Pasha. He had the whole package there, the utility and the gun skill.
Unreal. Wow. Like, hello, he's just done that. He's the one who wasn't there last year, Ollie. He's the one in the lineup that is the odd one out, who didn't have that silver medal.
Need to locate and
Look what he's just done, Ollie. He's 10 and 0.
He hasn't died. I didn't even know. He hasn't died.
Well, he would be 10 and 1 if we count the first one.
Of course, yeah, we did have the rehost.
Still 10 and 1 in 5 rounds.
It's not 10 and 0, though, is it?
Does it make a difference?
I didn't.
Does it make a difference? You're winding me up. No, you'd never.
Big shift.
That.
Big shift from Pasha. It was one of those beautiful rounds as well, where the Valkyrie takes out the IQ. The IQ was really too focused on kill. I think Aqua was far too focused on getting the frags and doing some of that heavy lifting than really getting the most out of the scanner. If you know there's the Valkyrie and you know what you came up against last time, obviously we know more because we're sat here with third-person view, X-ray vision, you name it, we've got it here. But you know where your vulnerabilities were in the previous round, and you can't just let that be re-exposed time after time, especially when you bring something to counter it.
This just shows, again, Clubhouse will always be the ultimate decider. It's a basic map. Basic, right? If you don't do them well, you will lose. There's been a few times where Mkers have just struggled with the basics, and outsiders have punished them every single time. That's why it's such a good map for outsiders, is because, again, you don't have to play crazy. You can play streamline, you can play rigid, you can play their style of play. That's the way it's done.
I like the way of getting that breach open there, just using a little bit of tactical tactic with the stun grenade to make it seem like you're pulling the pin on something and getting ready and then being able to trick off the gadgets. Worked out quite nicely. Also good to see Mkers not just...
Oh, I love that.
it.
You see that? He's fired the Kite Claw to try and reach the single reinforced wall on Catwalk, which is the wall that was opened up by the Ace in the previous round. Because one thing that is lacking severely from the Mkers lineup is any form of soft breach. So if you don't have the soft breach, you can't use like Sophia or an Ash or a Buck to open up that soft wall. You then would open up the reinforced wall. You can't do that if it's electrified. However, I don't think it's electrified looking at the perspective of Lola right now.
I don't think he managed to get it. Either that or it did get taken out. Outsiders.
Oh, he's got it now.
Do here.
Here we go.
They do still have the Toxic Babe canisters. Now we have allowed that electrical
ADS
to
at
be
me.
placed.
ADS at me. He's doing it so difficult.
Yeah, I think Dora's a little bit panicky here, honestly. Like, he knows that there's a very tough task ahead because what is it? It's a hop through a window. It's a no soft breach that you've got onto the wall. It's going to be very difficult for him to get through at a stud level. And that's, of course, where Monty shines. Stud, full shield extension. It's not going to be too easy. You're going to be leaving yourself a bit vulnerable if you have to hop through and come out of the shield. As a result, drops the diffuser and decides to throw caution to the wind and get himself involved. But we know exactly how this went last time, and it's looking like it may go quite similarly. Dora, he's going to be pretty low, and it's only going to be a Gumine that is needed to take him out. Dan finishes him off there in the end. Gemini with the alternate angle. He came for the approach, but he was shut down by Pasha. Pasha finally stopped. Sorry, picks up 3. Dan, last alive, 2 seconds left. The diffuser in Lolo's hands, and he gets it down in time. All he has to do now is hold on to F. Dan, not an easy challenge ahead of him here. Has the information. He's going to throw a Gumire now, but he has allowed these Mkers players to retreat. He has allowed them to get themselves out of sight and out of mind. Always going to be a tough one for Dan there. As soon as that wall is open, the site is split into 2, and it's very difficult to transition from one side to another. A close round, but a round that Mkers come away with, and honestly, they desperately needed that.
That was
2-4 split.
That was a great round. From both teams. I thought both teams had a really good round, leading up just to the final few seconds, of course. I thought it was good for Mkers, again, sticking to that strategy, using the Monty, using the Capitao. Catwalk was cleared in an instant, but then that little adaptation, using the Kite Claw to then electrify the single wall. Then they're forced to jump in through the single window, which is it's a much easier place to smoke. You don't have to worry about going for the lineup, and maybe it reaches the guy planting. You just smoke the window. The guy's not being able to jump through that. He's just going to die. And then the adaptation comes in for Mkers. They realize that, hey, if we can't get this wall open and they're smoking the window, we're done. I have to give full credit to the Thermite. Just runs in, gets the kills where it's needed. I thought it was phenomenal. Great rotation up through red stairs. Brilliantly played by Mkers, but equally I thought Outsiders had some great stuff shining through in that round. I feel like I'm giving like a match today segment there or something, like, you know, to reflect on, you know, what's happened at the Outsiders Mkers game. So it feels like both teams level at the break. Well, not level at the break, but you know what I mean. Gee.
And what's going on the Outsiders Mkers game demo over on Clubhouse?
I don't know, Wally.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hi, X. I don't know, X. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Oh dear.
Brilliant.
Right. So now pressure on Outsiders has to be said, because they have to attack.
Oh dear.
Akwi again. That's 3 times in this series that's happened to you, mate.
Honestly, get him off it. Get him off the Solace.
Get him subbed
it's
off.
Causing more harm than good.
There's been a sub, but for who, Ollie?
It's causing more harm than good, honestly, that. It needs addressing because it's so much power. It's so much information. There's so much potential with Solace. But if you haven't got your gun up, if you're just getting caught out, if you're distracted looking for other things, you know, the hood is nice and clean. You can see gadgets and stuff really easily. But the downside is you can't see people as well as you could without it. It's always going to happen. There's something in front of your face.
Look at this pre-placed drone from Always. That, yeah, I would say that...
Not been found out.
I would say in about 45 seconds there'll be a dead sorry on our screen. I think that's a definite.
Start the timer.
Here they go for it as well.
Always going to go for it himself by the looks of it.
Realistically, I mean, he just needs somebody to sit in the camp for him. But it looks as if maybe nobody's available because he keeps checking it back and forth. So I think that perhaps that he's just going to have to do it himself. Only a one-man show. He knows where he is inside of lockers. Are they even opening the strip wall? They are. This is clinical outsiders. They see a target, Ollie, and they do everything they can to kill you.
Always going to be Crouch walking in now. Still has a red ping going for him. Easy cleanup. Cost a little bit of utility mind, and it did cost quite a bit of time. Shepard, I believe you used an exothermic charge on that, especially when you've still got kitchen hatch to get, and it is your only hope of hard destruction. It is, you want to be sure that that's where you want to be using it, really. But it has happened now, and with the advantage, man count-wise, that Outsiders have got, they may not be worrying too much. Pasha going to get himself into dirt tunnels, so the Hibana pellets I'm expecting aren't really going to be used inside of this round. Got himself a tad bit of information here as well, and can look to maybe start to pose a little bit of a threat and give people something to think about. Great swing from Joystick. Do see Vulcan shields now getting popped in order to delay a little bit of time, but it is not going to be enough as the diffuser is going to be going down at the bottom of those main stairs with a quick swing, sees the C4 come through, and that is all the information he needs. Swing drowns, finds the bandit. See Mkers fall in there at the first hurdle. Outsiders extend their lead by 1.
Great round. I think that is just... It's quintessential Outsiders at their best, isn't it? It just is. Great round of Siege to watch. Again, straight to the point of this is their map. This has always been one of their maps, and they're showing it.
I enjoy watching Outsiders play this map. I think it's exciting. I think they play it with a certain flair of where's the mistake, we find the mistake, we exploit the mistake. And that's exactly what happened.
I would love to see a triple threat battle royale match between BDS, Outsiders, and FaZe. I'd pay good money for that.
With 3 teams playing on one map.
It'll be one team defend, one team attack, one team take a break, and you rotate around.
Imagine that.
Like, I think that would be unbelievable.
That's got like show match written all over it, hasn't it?
100%.
Is that your Royal Rumble?
What,
Outsiders, BDS, and FaZe?
Yeah, in terms of Clubhouse, yeah. I think they're the 3 best teams in the world to play.
Well, I don't disagree. I've just not really thought of it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely useless. I do have the odd idea.
I mean, that's a fairly wild idea. It's never been...
No, we're not mentioning Wild in Clubhouse ever again. We're not doing that. Sorry, Canio. You had it coming.
Akwi has managed to keep himself alive for 45 seconds here, Demo. Personal best on Solace, potentially for him.
Don't speak too soon. He's still a good chunk of time for him to...
I mean, it's still a PB no matter what he gets now. He's
lose the life.
It's the risk and reward, and that's one of the reasons why I really like Solace. I think it's it's not as easy as just finding out where everything is. Yeah, you can find things out, but information is only useful if you can do something about it, or how you're going to use it.
There's only 5 drones left. That's all I have to try and get. So, I mean, half of them gone at this stage is pretty good. You're probably looking for maybe another 2 drones to be killed off, and then you're sitting pretty, really, for like the light executes. They don't maybe have the information that they should. Maybe then they're missing a flank cam. You start looking at that, in that regard, yeah. I mean, sorry, again, he's been put in the mixer. Like, this is not a fun position to play against.
Sorry, you got to feel sorry for him at this point. Dan's going to take him out there from the drone hole. The poor guy can't go anywhere here.
There's only one man who can stay in that. I'm pretty sure there's only one man who has played in that position against Outsiders and lived to tell the tale, and that's Geo. There's only one man.
Slowly but surely, the hatch will be opened here. You may have impacts, but Hibana has more pellets.
Good info.
Still, there are 3 impacts left. If they do choose to deploy all of them, Makers could juggle themselves around and, more than anything, just waste a great deal of time. Dan going to come in, however, and make people feel a bit more uncomfortable about standing just so directly underneath. C4 is going to swing and miss. And there goes all of Mkers' denial. Every last little drop of it. This could be a bit of a hatch drop, and I do worry if that is going to be the case. We are going to see
dirt soft.
Door open there, and with the wall being soft, it does allow very quick access here for Dan on Book to get himself through. Acqui could be a playmaker here. I'm not sure if they know he's rotated back into that position, but Outsiders, they're quick on their feet and they have kept themselves moving. Pasha is there to take Acqui down. Shepard finds one as well. Kills continue to fly. Shepard getting the diffuser down. Lolo last alive. 1 versus 3. He's got some information. He knows exactly where Always is and can find himself the first kill. Question is, does he go upstairs and try and utilize the hatch, or does he make a dash for it? He's going to go upstairs. Pasha gets himself outside, back up dirt tunnel. Could be looking for a bit of a flank here, and Lolo is going to be aware of it.
There's no flank cams.
Some information here. Looks as though Outsiders, they are flying blind. Lolo going to hit the drop, see if he can bait anybody out. Knows where the diffuser is, can give it a quick tap, see if he can bait anybody out from peeking. But Outsiders, they're more experienced than that. They know the timings of these things. 8 seconds, now's the time to strike, because there is far little of it remaining for poor old Lolo to disable that diffuser. Pasha from above, beautifully baited out, beautifully played, beautifully weighted. Finds the final kill. It's going to put Outsiders onto a map point. Potential here for all 3, Demo.
Oh, I think we'll see a 3rd map, Ollie. I think we will. I think Outsiders will probably just take next round. That'll be it. Job done. They look clean. Mkers probably now you're thinking, what do we do? They've used their timeout, I'm pretty sure, as well. What can you say for Mkers? It looks as if Mkers, throughout the past two rounds, they have really tried to get that opening pick against Outsiders, but they've been put down every single time they've tried it. And that's what I feel as though Mkers have maybe looked at this map and thought, right, the only way we're going to beat this team on their map is if we try and disrupt them early on, if we try and get a big pick, if we try and get a Thermite, if we try and get an ace pick. That'll help them out massively. And they've went for that, and it just hasn't really worked. That's the reason why you're seeing somebody play in towards Strip. They're looking for the gunfights. They're looking to take those challenges, but I think they're doing it the wrong way. I think it's all good going for the aggressive gunplay stance of things and trying to hold a lot of the map and trying to slow down Outsiders and take the fights and get the picks. But they're doing it by themselves. That's the worst thing you can do against Outsiders, is leave yourself vulnerable. If there's one guy, Outsiders will send about 4. That's the way they operate. You need to work as a unit. You need to work in conjunction. You need to almost set up like a triangle and just play around each other. That's what I think Mkers have probably been lacking, is just the refrags against Outsiders.
Yeah, Outsiders are fearful in the way that they approach the Roma, though. Like you say, if they see one person, they'll send 4 after you, and they're not afraid to use utility to clear you out either.
They're using Thermite charges and all sorts of strip wall,
exactly.
Yeah.
They'll problem solve later on in the round. You know, they used the Thermite charge, and the Hibana was inside of Dirt Tunnel. There was no way Hibana was using those pellets for that round. Like, it was just... It wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed. They'd worked around it. It's impressive stuff, and it's... granted, it's not always stuff that pulls off. You know, if you waste utility somewhere and then you end up needing it elsewhere, yeah, you're going to leave yourself a little bit short. However, often a kill is more important, and certainly avoiding that potential of being snuck up upon is very valuable indeed. At the halfway point here, and we do see Outsiders starting to take full control of this east side. Cash, CCTV. The Claymores getting posted out here as well. Bit of a change up here for Mkers, at least, versus how Outsiders were defending this. They brought along the Echo Demo.
I think it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? I just look at it and think, you know, Valkyrie's going to be your best friend. Like, I'm sure, yeah, Echo Cams can be great for the denial plant. Valkyrie and C4 does the same job, and I just think you're more flexible with the Valkyrie, aren't you?
The Valkyrie is very flexible, and it's something that Outsiders used extremely well. Aqua's still alive. That's going to be a running theme, I think, so long as he's playing on Solace. We haven't seen him have the best of time of things, but so far in this round, he's got to the final 40 seconds, which is really the crunch time. Shepard, he's dropped on in. He's going to be able to find anything. No, Kill's going to trade 1-for-1 here. Akwi picks himself up 2. Not only is he alive, Demo, but he is gunning. Eventually, will be taken down as we level out to a 3 versus 2 here. Echo still alive. Potential to deny a plant if it should come through. Dora hiding out here inside of the bathroom as Shepard starts to nail that diffuser to the floor. Joystick providing that all-important covering fire. But taken out by the C4. Draws for the shotgun. Dora inside of the gym. Gets himself in an engagement. Shuts down. Shepard, 1 versus 2. Finds his first. He's already got the plant. Can he find the final 2 as well? Where's the information?
Oh, he's so
Shots
good.
fly on through. Shepard picks him off. Outsiders. They might have fallen a little bit short on our opening map of Chalet, but they have come out swinging here on Clubhouse. And they are going to take us all the way here tonight, Demo.
Big Shep. He's never left, has he, Ollie? He just, so good. So good. Pasha, all credit to him. Obviously, the kind of new guy. Not really the new guy, but is the new guy if we're looking at the other 4 of that core roster that we've seen last year. He's done amazing. 14-3 finishes there. Phenomenal performance, but it's what we expected from Outsiders. It's their map. This is a map that we see them dominate on all the time. So, yeah, all credit to them. Good map, but we'll have to see now how Bank plays up.
It is all to play for. Bank is going to be our next map here. Outsiders currently 1. Makers currently 1. We're going to be going to all 3. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with our analyst desk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few.